Chapter 27, Vector Zero. 3 days had passed since Michael watched three hunters alter their route. 3 days since one of them looked directly at him and gave the slightest nod. Michael kept returning to that moment. He tried to convince himself he had imagined it. A random spasm, a coordination failure, residual damage in the creature's nervous system. Anything except a conscious gesture. Because if the hunter had truly recognized him, everything had changed. They were no longer simply infected, and Michael was no longer simply a target. He sat on the upper floor of an abandoned apartment building, staring at his hands. Nothing looked different. His skin was normal. His pulse was steady. His temperature remained within normal range. But inside his body, there seemed to be a second rhythm. He didn't feel it constantly, only sometimes. Mostly at night, a faint pressure at the base of his skull, a subtle vibration, as if somewhere far away, a machine too enormous to hear was still running. Michael knew that sensation now. Hunters. One of them was nearby. He stood. He didn't reach for his weapon. Only seconds later did he realize it. Before, his hand would have moved automatically toward his knife or pistol. Now his body no longer registered the presence of a hunter as an immediate threat. That was worse than fear, because it meant adaptation. "Anna," he whispered into the transmitter. "Can you hear me?" The answer came after a delay. "I hear you. It's here again." "Who?" "One of them." Silence. "Can you see it?" "No." "Then how do you know?" Michael approached the broken window. "I just know." Anna remained silent for several seconds. "Michael, I need exact symptoms." "Pressure? Ringing? Visual distortion?" "No." "Increased heart rate." He checked his pulse. "The opposite. It slows down." The channel went quiet. "Is that bad?" Michael asked. "I don't know yet." "You always say that." "Because I've never seen anything like this." Michael almost smiled. Then the sensation changed. The pressure intensified. He turned sharply. The neighboring building. 7th floor. A dark window. Something stood there. A hunter. Motionless. Michael could see only its silhouette, but that was enough. Arms slightly too long. Head angled forward. A posture far too calm. "I see it." "Leave," Anna said immediately. Michael didn't move. "Michael." The hunter stepped forward. Its face entered the weak light. Almost human. No decay. No rage. It stared directly at him. "It isn't attacking." "That means nothing." "For them, it does." The hunter slowly tilted its head. At that exact moment, Michael felt a short impulse. Not a sound. Not a thought. A direction. North. For a fraction of a second, his mind seemed to receive someone else's sense of space. He stepped back from the window. "Damn. What happened?" "I felt something." "What?" Michael looked toward the northern district. "A direction." "You're saying it transmitted information to you?" "I don't know." But the hunter was already gone. 20 kilometers from the city, deep underground, an automated surveillance system recorded the event. At first, it looked like an ordinary error. Hunter Unit H-17 had detected the priority target. The system expected the standard sequence: detection, approach, interception. But H-17 did not attack. A line appeared on the central display. Target identified. Then, neural response detected. 2 seconds later, predation protocol suspended. The operator read the message twice. "That's impossible." The woman beside him enlarged the recording. "Replay the last 10 seconds." Michael appeared on the screen. Then H-17. They stood in separate buildings, staring at one another. "Why did it stop?" "I don't know." "Signal loss." "No." The operator opened telemetry, then froze. "The capsule is functioning normally." "Then initiate forced protocol." The command was transmitted. "Attack." H-17 did not respond. Again. "Attack." Nothing. A third command. "Terminate target M02." The system stalled for a fraction of a second, then returned. "Command conflict." The room became silent. "What conflict?" The operator opened the extended log and saw a line that did not exist in any known protocol. Signature recognized. "Get the director." Michael moved north. He hated himself for doing it. There was no reason to trust the sensation received beside a creature designed to kill him. Yet the impulse remained. He felt the direction as naturally as a person senses the location of heat. 2 hours later, he reached the old medical district. Most buildings were destroyed. One remained intact. A small laboratory. The door was open. Michael stopped. Too easy. He entered. Dust. Overturned furniture. Broken terminals. But deep in the corridor, a green indicator was glowing. Electricity. Michael moved closer. An old biometric scanner was mounted on the wall. The screen came alive. Scanning. Michael froze. No. He stepped back. Too late. Match found. A new line appeared. Subject M02. Status: active. Cold spread through him. M02. He had seen that designation before in the Institute records. M01 had belonged to his brother, the man who became Object Father. But M02, that was him. The screen flickered. Another file opened. Genetic stability, confirmed. Neural degradation, 0.7%. Mutagen integration, active. Michael read the final line again. Integration, not infection, not poisoning. Integration. Anna, I'm here. They knew. Knew what? About me. He transmitted the data. Anna said nothing for several seconds. Then her voice changed. Michael, get out of there. Why? Because this profile could not have been created after your exposure to the Hunter mutagen. He froze. What? Check the profile creation date. Michael opened the file properties and stopped breathing. The M02 profile had been created years earlier, before the city fell, before the outbreak. That's impossible. No, Anna said quietly. It means you were never a random target. Michael stared at the screen. His brother, father, the capsule, the institute, his own resistance, the hunters. Everything began connecting. They didn't start hunting me after the institute. It doesn't look that way. Then why? Anna never answered. The screen changed on its own. A message appeared. Remote connection established. Someone had connected to the terminal. Michael drew his weapon, though he knew the gesture was meaningless. A single line appeared. Hello, Michael. He froze. Then a second line. We have been waiting for you. The connection terminated. The laboratory lights went dark. And at the same moment, Michael felt them. Not one, not three, dozens. Hunters surrounded the district, but none approached. They simply stood there, waiting. Inside the underground complex, the director stared at the analysis. Confirm it again. Signature compatibility is 87%. With the H-series? No. The operator swallowed. With the control core architecture, the director slowly raised his eyes. That's impossible. The core was destroyed. The physical node, yes. And the network? No one answered. The central screen displayed a map of the city. Dozens of H-series markers were changing position, not under corporate command. They were forming a circle around Michael. But they were not attacking. They were guarding him. The director stepped closer. Cancel the termination order. Sir, immediately. What is the target's new status? The director stared at Michael's photograph for a long moment, then spoke. He is no longer a target. Then what is he? A new classification appeared on the screen. Subject M02. Status updated. Vector 0. The director whispered. 0 point. At that same moment, Michael stood in the dark laboratory and realized he could feel every hunter surrounding the building. Not their thoughts, not commands, their presence. Dozens of separate signals. And among them was something else. Something deeper. Something older. It did not come from the hunters. It came from beneath the city. Michael closed his eyes and heard something that could not be heard. A slow rhythm, as if a gigantic heart were still beating beneath the ruins. One beat, a pause, another. Then, deep inside his mind, a single word appeared. Nirvana.